everyone, this is Julia from the Macedon Public Library. Today I'm with some friends here and we're going to be learning how to make truffles, chocolate truffles from home that would be giftable or also gifts for yourself, things that you can enjoy. And personalize and add things and make it the way you want it to be. But to begin with, I'm going to show I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how to get into this resource of all of these videos that we have access to now through the Macedon Public Library. And it's called Creativebug and it's a website. And it's something that you can access just using your library card. So let me share my screen now. Let me do that, share screen. I'm going to talk myself through this. And it's based off of, I don't know that we need sound, but I'm going to do that. Off of our website. So hopefully you can see our website right now. It's macedonpubliclibrary.org, all one word. And if you scroll down in the middle column, there is the link for Creativebug. So I'm going to click on that. And you're going to get to this website. If you just look for Creativebug, which is all one word, it's going to say, do you want a demo? Do you want to pay for this? You don't need to, because the library's already got an account for our patrons to do this. So you log in here with your library card number, and I'm not going to do that. Stacy realized she did it the other day for her program, and she's like, oh, then everybody knows my library card number. So I just wanted to show this again. I'll go back. You access it from our main website, macedonpubliclibrary.org, in the middle, Creativebug. And then you're going to type in your card number and then you'll log in. And it says Macedon Public Library can access and retain your learning activity. So in other words, we will be able to see what people are looking at. So we can also see when you get in here, look at the things that interest you. I guess Stacy can get into the database and find out what people have watched. So we're like, hey, there's a lot of people with sewing, or hey, there's a lot of people with crocheting, or with paper crafts, or painting. So we can kind of see what our patrons want to do. So let me stop sharing this, and hopefully you can see me again. I'm going to now log in myself. Whoops. It's not taking, oh, there we go. Okay, so now I'm logged in. I'm back here. Oh, it looks like we lost one of our friends. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen again, and it's this one. Share. Okay, so now I've logged into my site, and if you look, you can see at the top of the corner, there's a J. So that shows this is my account, and all I had to do was type in my library card number. I might have had to type in a password or create a password, but now it just remembers me with my library card. So you can search for lots of things. There's art and design, there's sewing, quilting, paper, knitting, crochet, food and home, jewelry, and then holiday party, plus kids. So things that are good for kids in classes. So today we're going to be looking at in the food and home area. But when you find something, then you can add it to a watch list. So these are the things that I've picked out that I'm interested in personally. And then they show up in your watch list. So I have a couple. I have some paper, I have some seed bombs. Maybe we'll do that in the spring. Some quilting. And then here's mastering chocolate, marshmallows, which I've never tried before. We'll have to try that. And then here's the hand-rolled truffles. So we're gonna start with this. Resume, because I've already been watching this, but it breaks it down. The website is really great. So there's just short videos for some of it, overview, what materials you need, how to make the ganache, which is the stuff inside the truffles, how to roll them and decorate them if you want. And then, where is it? Oh, up in the same line here. I don't know if you can see where my mouse is going. To the right, it says download class PDF, which then gives you a copy of the actual instructions. So instead of watching the video, you can do that. Again, you can add something to your wish list here. There's a transcript available. I think that, yeah, there must be a gallery where you can see how other people, I guess one person has done this and added that picture. You can add your own to it if you want. So this is where we get to that. So where do we go back to? Okay, and this is for beginners, so that's good. And that's also another place to get to the download. So let's go ahead and start this. I'll show you what it's like.
Hi, my name is Mark Tilling. I've been working as a pastry chef and chocolatier for the past 25 years. I have 2 books on chocolate and 1 on macaroons. We're going to make some really nice, delicate, small truffles, making them with really good ingredients. We're going to make some dark chocolate truffles and rolling them in cocoa powder, and then we're going to make some raspberry truffles. For this method, it's all hand rolled, so you don't need a lot of equipment. This is a very basic recipe, but it's very easy to change the flavors. You can use alcohols, you can use oil flavorings, or even fresh fruit. To make hand-rolled truffles, we're going to need your basic kitchen setup. You also need a stovetop, a saucepan, about 200 grams of dark tempered chocolate, a thermometer. I like to use this one that has a thermometer in a spatula.
That looks really
We're also going to need a microwave-safe bowl, some chocolate for the actual ganache, a whisk, some raspberries, some cream, some butter, some corn syrup, some dust colour, cocoa powder, a plastic tub, a metal tray, a spoon or a melon baller, and some latex gloves.
So that's what you need.
We're going to start with our ganache, which is the centre of our truffle. We're going to heat up some cream. This is about 200 mils of whipping cream. And to this, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of corn syrup.
This is why I didn't do this, because I don't have corn syrup at home. I'll have to get some.
The reason I add corn syrup, or you can use glucose, this will stabilise the ganache. It gives it a little bit longer on the shelf life as well. We're going to heat this to a boil, and then we need to reduce the temperature to about 38 degrees, which is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. When you're using dark chocolate, it's equal parts cream to chocolate. So again, I've got 200 grams of chocolate. We're going to melt this in the microwave, and we're going to bring it up very slowly, a little bit like tempering. We're just going to bring it slowly up to about 32 degrees. If I forget to say in Fahrenheit, it will all be in the PDF.
And it is, because I'm looking at it right now.
It's really important to have the chocolate and the cream at the correct temperature. Don't just heat the cream up to a boil and pour it into the chocolate. Basically what will happen is the chocolate will split. You'll have all the fats separating from all the other ingredients, and you'll make your truffles become very grainy. We have the chocolate at 32 degrees and we have the cream at 38 degrees. Now we can mix them together. Pour the cream into the chocolate, and using a whisk, we want to emulsify the two together. So just start very slowly from the center and mix them together until it's all incorporated into one ganache. Add the 25 grams of unsalted butter and mix that into the ganache.
And just the heat of the mixture already is what's gonna
Keep mixing till it's actually melted, and then we're going to pour it into a plastic container. And we're going to store this in the fridge till it sets. It will take an hour to an hour and a half to set. You can make this ganache in white and milk chocolate, but you'd have to increase the milk chocolate to 300 grams, and for white chocolate, you'd have to increase it to 400 grams. Let's make our raspberry ganache. So in my saucepan here, I've got 150 grams of fresh raspberries, or you can use frozen. I've also got 50 mils or 50 grams of whipping cream and my 1 tablespoon of corn syrup. I'm using dark chocolate again, so I have 200 grams of dark chocolate. You can use any fruit, just make sure it's well mixed in. And again, make sure we get it to that 30 8 degrees Celsius. Now our cream and chocolate are both at the right temperature. We can add the two by pouring in the raspberries and cream into the chocolate. And again, using the whisk to emulsify them together. Now we're ready to add the butter. Again, place the 25 grams of unsalted butter into the ganache and mix this thoroughly through. Place the ganache into a food container. Place it in the fridge for an hour to an hour and a half, just like the other ganache.
So basically you melt the stuff.
We're ready to roll our truffles
all
now.
The same temperature.
So here I have our dark chocolate truffle mix and our raspberry mix. The consistency you need is like a fudgy consistency. Now, after an hour or an hour and a half, if it's still not that consistency, then just leave it a little bit longer. Take your spoon, scoop up a small amount of the mix, and then wearing some latex gloves, just roll them into a ball. Don't roll them for too long or they might start melting in your fingers. So depending on the size of your truffles, it will make roughly about 30 in total. At this point, we need to leave them to set at room temperature for about 20 minutes. This will just harden the outside slightly before we roll. If you are going to freeze them at this stage, because if you've coated them in chocolate and cocoa powder, the cocoa powder will sweat in the freezer and it would all become very sticky. So it's better to freeze them at this stage and then roll them later. Regardless what truffles you make, you almost always use tempered chocolate if it's white or milk as well. We're going to use cocoa powder and some of this metallic dust. It's a food grade edible dust colour that you can use in conjunction with cocoa powder to get that really nice sheen to your truffles. So first we're going to do the normal truffles. Place some cocoa powder into a tray. Take 2 or 3 truffles. Now if you find they're quite soft still, just put them in the fridge for a few minutes and that will harden them up and then you'll be ready to go. Wearing some latex gloves, take a small amount of chocolate.
The tempered chocolate.
Roll them together so it's coated in the chocolate. And then we're going to place them on the surface of the cocoa powder. Now the most important thing is not to roll them just yet. If you roll them straight away, it clogs up with too much cocoa powder. So leave them to just semi-dry and then we can just roll them through it and it'll just be slightly coated in that little bit of cocoa powder.
Not really sure why he said you needed so much tempered chocolate to begin with, because he's just kind of pinching off a little chocolate.
So wait for them to go matte and then we can just push them with a spoon, just so they don't stick, and you can give them a little shake as well. And you'll see they won't clog up with loads of cocoa powder. For our raspberry truffles, we're going to add this metallic red dust. Just sprinkle it into the cocoa powder. Give it a little mix. And then we can roll our truffles. So again, take a few in the hand, a little bit of tempered chocolate, roll them together, and then place them on the cocoa powder. Remember not to roll them just yet until they've gone matte. So just push them around slightly. And then you can always give them a little shake as well. And you can see that metallic dust
Give them a shiny.
really comes out and gives it a great shine. Just lift them out. So you can store these truffles in a little box, a little bag with a little ribbon, or you can just eat them. Yes!
All right. So that's basically all there is to it, to the truffles. You're making up the stuff that's in the middle, the ganache. And then and now I've seen recipes that are talking about truffles that don't have you use the tempered chocolate on the top, but the tempered chocolate will kind of seal in the ganache. And I think it helps it last longer again, to be shelf stable. So I've done a little bit of work with chocolate. I don't know how much you guys have done with chocolate. But tempering there is kind of a fine art to tempering chocolate too. So what tempering is you're melting chocolate to a certain temperature, and then you get it to a certain heat, but then you want to cool it down again and let it cool kind of quickly at that point. But you want to make sure that there's no extra oil or there's no extra moisture involved. And that's the trick, because otherwise you can seize up your chocolate. So he also has done a little bit on like how to make chocolate bars and stuff. So he talks about that. So I'm going to get back in to one of his other classes talking about mastering chocolate, and then find the part that just specifically talking about tempering. And again, I don't know why in that recipe that he showed for the truffles, he says you have to have so much temper, because he's using just such tiny little pinches of it. So I don't think you need quite as much. But if you have more chocolate around, then you can eat chocolate. I don't know, put it on other things. All right, so share screen. We'll go back to the class. Sorry about the sound. I hope you could hear that. So go back to my wish list. And here is the Mastering Chocolate at Home class. And there's the overview. Basically, it's what I just talked about, how it's melting it, but it's bringing it to a certain temperature and then cooling it down. And that there's different ways to do it. He suggests either using cocoa butter powder. It's like powdered cocoa butter. Or you can just use additional chocolate. Like if you're melting chocolate chips, you can use throw in some chocolate chips that are just room temperature. And I think we're going to start with the 2 ways to melt using the microwave or the stovetop, and then the ways to temper.
There are 2 different ways of melting chocolate. One is using the microwave. So here I have a plastic bowl which is microwave safe. I have a minimum of 500 grams of chocolate, which is just over a pound, and a spatula that has a thermometer in it, and of course an apron.
Melt their chocolate is in the microwave in 30-second bursts. So I don't know that
so we're going to pop this in the microwave for about 30 seconds to start melting the chocolate.
I'm going to forward ahead.
A little bit further. So we have to get it melted to about 40.
Lumpy. Maybe this is going to be enough.
So now you can see the chocolate has really started to melt. As you can see, the chocolate's around 30 degrees, so we still have more to melt.
And again, this is Celsius, but he provides the chart to what is Fahrenheit.
As you can see, the chocolate has really melted now, so it's really key to get that temperature right between 40 and 45 degrees, which is 103 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. So as you can see, we're at the right temperature now. So the other method of melting chocolate is by using a double boiler. So here in the bottom of the saucepan, I have a tiny bit of water, not too much. I have my chocolate, which is 500 grams, which is just over a pound of chocolate. Place the bowl onto the saucepan and put on a low heat. Have your thermometer in the bowl with the spatula and keep stirring till the chocolate is melted, till we reach that 40 to 45 degrees or 103 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, we're there. Regardless which way you melt your chocolate, it always have to be placed in a microwave plastic bowl for tempering. So tempering chocolate is really important. It's about getting the right crystal structure in the chocolate to give you that nice snap and that nice clean, glossy look to all your chocolates that you make. So for the first way of tempering, we're going to use powdered cocoa butter, which is also known as macryo. So we need to reduce the temperature of the chocolate to 34 to 35 degrees, which is 93 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we've reached the right temperature, between 34 and 35 degrees, which is 93 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. we can add 5 grams of the powdered cocoa butter called macryo.
I don't know if you can find that locally. I don't know. I've never heard of it before.
At this temperature, the macryo will melt into the chocolate to create the crystals. If it's higher or lower than this, it won't work. At this point, we have to reduce the temperature of the chocolate to 31 to 32 degrees, which is 88 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, we can test the chocolate by using a little strip of greaseproof paper. Just dip it into the top of the chocolate. Take off the excess, place it onto your work surface, and we wait for in between 3 to 5 minutes to see if it sets. So what we're looking for after 3 to 5 minutes is the chocolate's gone from a shiny to more of a matte finish. So if your chocolate doesn't set, unfortunately, you're going to have to start over again. So it's really key to get those temperatures right. The second way of tempering is what we call the seeding method, which we're going to use chocolate to add to the melted chocolate to reduce the temperature.
This is what I've used.
To start with, just use a small amount of chocolate. So we don't want to cool the chocolate too much, but if we do, don't worry, we can use the hairdryer to raise the temperature. So you're probably wondering why we're adding chocolate to it to reduce the temperature. Basically, when you heat chocolate, which we've done, you actually destroy the crystals. So by adding more solid chocolate into it, that's what will create the crystals in our chocolate. Oops, we've added too much chocolate. As you can see, the chocolate is lumpy, but this is fine. We can rectify this by using the hairdryer, just by heating in small, sort of 2 to 3 second bursts. At this stage, it's quite easy to overheat it again with the hairdryer, but it doesn't matter because we can add more chocolate to cool it down again. So we got to the right temperature now, 31 to 32 degrees, between 88 Fahrenheit to 90 Fahrenheit. So now we can test with the paper. So just dip in again. And place it on your work surface. As you can see, it's lovely and shiny at the moment, but that should set just like this one within 3 to 5 minutes, and then you know you've tempered your chocolate. Tempering works exactly the same way for milk and white. Refer to the PDF to get the correct temperatures. Otherwise, nothing will turn out. When you've tempered your chocolate, you may come across some problems along the way. This one here is exactly what we need. So this is the chocolate we need. This has been pre-crystallized and it's got a lovely finish and a lovely snap. So here's what you don't want. This one here has a sugar bloom on it, which you can see on the top. It has like little sugar crystals. You can feel it and it feels quite rough. This is to do with the temperature of your cooling of your chocolate. It's basically the sugar is being drawn out from the chocolate and creating those crystals on the surface. In this example, you can see the chocolate is very dull. You have fat bloom around the edge, just here. This means it hasn't been properly tempered. It will also melt at body temperature, as you can see.
Oh, it snapped. Yeah.
And you can also see it doesn't have a snap. In the last one, you can see this is what
I've done that before.
When you overheat chocolate
That one at the
in
end.
the melting process, either in the microwave or on the bain-marie.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's burnt, it's all chunky, and you can't come back from this. After you've correctly tempered your chocolate, you're ready to start working straight away.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there and come back. All right, so I wouldn't mind the sugar crystals, that the first one that he had that had too many, like I think I would be fine with that. But when it gets that clumpy stuff at the end, it's just a waste of chocolate. It's very sad, but I have done that before. I was just looking through. So here's, I did print out the PDFs that are available on the Creativebug site. And I was looking, the Mastering Chocolate at Home, because he was talking about tempering milk versus as well as white chocolate and the different temperatures. And I don't see, when tempering any chocolate, including dark white and milk, the initial melting temperature should reach between 104 and 113 Fahrenheit. When the chocolate cools, okay, yes, so 93 to 95 for dark chocolate, 91 to 93 for milk and white. So the milk and white chocolate needs to come a little cooler than the dark chocolate, like by a degree or two. So yeah, have your candy making thermometer handy. I love the thermometer in the spoon. I want to get one of those. I never seen it before, but that looked really cool. So that's kind of it. I hope you know, maybe you guys can try your hands at it. I've done truffles before. When I've done it before, I haven't rolled it in like a cocoa powder. I've used coconut because I love coconut. So I'll get the fine powdery coconut that I've done. I don't know. I've done truffles before with you break up Oreo cookies and make that into a truffle, which was really good. It was a little easier, but this is a little bit, just somehow this feels more authentic and more truly chocolate. So I really love that. If you want to go farther into that mastering chocolate class, he actually shows how to melt it and make it into chocolate bars. So you like swirling colors or swirling. He goes with the raspberry. He has some freeze-dried raspberries that he adds crushed up and then melts chocolate and puts it over the top. Some other things with the gold. He likes the shiny stuff, I guess. You know, to make your own fancy chocolate bars. I like the truffle ideas because they fit right in your mouth and then they're gone. So that's really all I had to offer. I do recommend, if you have time, to try out the Creativebug because there's so many programs, there's so many crafts and projects. Even I know Stacy has looked at the drawing and she found one that she really enjoys for drawing. I think it's using like a tablet or something like that, like digital drawing. She's learned a lot personally. And I'm just looking at stuff that I think is fun. I haven't really gone into like, oh, I'd really like to learn how to do more quilting or something. I have one saved. I haven't looked at it yet. But it's a great resource. And especially in a time like right now, when we can't be together to do crafts that often we will do here at the library, it's a way to bring people who are experts in this and really know what they're doing. You can bring that into your house and the library is glad to help with that. So I guess I'll leave it there. So I'm going to end the recording here. And if those who are friends who've showed up, if you want to stay and chat for a bit, I will be around. I'm just going to end the recording and say bye. Remember how to close. All right, bye.